Hi there everybody, welcome to another video. On today's video I have this Mercedes C-Class. This is a C180 w204 2009 model, and I'm having an issue. I had an engine light the other day, and looking at the fault codes I had, basically this is what I had: fault code 2096 and 2270, which it's one of them is the mixture is too lean downstream of the catalytic converter, cylinder bank 1. So there's only one bank in this car. It's a 4-cylinder engine, not a V8. And the second fault code says the signal from oxygen sensor 2, cylinder bank 1, is shifted towards lean. So those are the two fault codes I got, together with the engine light on. There isn't any symptoms with the car or the engine. I mean, the engine is running fine. There's no misfires or rough running or anything like that. If it was running a little bit rough or wanting to cut out or something like that, I would be looking at some air leaks. Maybe this lean situation can be caused by some air that is entering the engine from somewhere else rather than the throttle body area. So normally or usually it enters via the in this car it enters via a hose that's sitting below the air filter. But I have checked that hose anyway, and it is okay in this particular one. But I'm just gonna have a look here. I've got I'm gonna show you, because I am going to change the oxygen sensor, the one after the cut, basically I'm gonna show you the readings. Okay, so I've got to the menu here. So this here is my O2 sensor downstream. So that's the sensor which is sitting after the catalytic converter. The upstream would be the one that's sitting before the catalytic converter, which you can kind of access from the engine bay. The one I'm going to replace, you have to access from below. So I'm running the engine a little bit as well, getting it hot or warm, because sometimes it's easier to remove that sensor with the exhaust hot. So anyway, looking at these readings here, it says 415, which is millivolts, which is 0.4 really. And normally this sensor is supposed to fluctuate, as far as I'm aware, from basically from 0.2 or so to up to 1 volt. So in this case scenario, what I've noticed is that sensor, when you rev the engine and let it idle, when it fluctuates a very small amount. It doesn't have much movement. By the way, this is the upstream sensor here, and the readings I have are between 1.9 and 3 volts when I rev the engine. I think that's okay for this, and also the heating capacity is controlled. Now again, if I go back to the other one, still reading the same. And that just isn't changing much. So that figure there is basically showing us a lean, is showing the ECU a lean condition. So technically it's supposed to be fluctuating. So I'm going to replace the sensor, and then we can double check and see how the new sensor behaves. Looking at the car from underneath, we have this plate. We want to remove the oxygen sensor just sitting here. So remove all these 8mm bolts. There's a few, I already removed them. A few around. There's one there, 2 here. And then you shall be able to take that cover out. There's the sensor cable, so just follow the cable around, take it out of the little metal clamps here. And that's our sensor there. So we just need to unplug it. Usually you have to open the sides here a little bit. If you open those sides, you are able to pull this sensor out. So I'm just gonna do that now. Here's my new sensor, by the way. It costs a fortune, £280. Perhaps you can get a second-hand one. I don't know, I couldn't find one. You're gonna need a 22mm that fits that there. Can go through here. And obviously anti-clockwise. I should have put it the other way, actually. This way. Must admit that looks a little bit oily. That's got a little bit of oil in there. Not sure why, but anyway. There's a bit of oil there. You can see the shining. Anyway, so this, now we have to undo this. It's gonna be hard. You're gonna need maybe another bar here, or if you haven't got a bar, maybe another wrench you can hook to this one, or even use a hammer, hit it here, and that should loosen it. My exhaust is hot, so I'll give it a go. Okay, that worked. Luckily, I feel a bit lucky with that. Okay, that is coming out. There we are. Now it's just a matter of reinstalling the new one. Notice the new sensor comes with a bit of grease on the thread, so we don't need to add any. So I think this kind of goes without saying. I'm gonna screw this in, and then we tighten it, and then we just follow it through and replug it. I cleaned this up, by the way. I washed that off with some electrical cleaning fluid, and we can plug that back in, the new one. Okay, I've tightened that with a wrench. No need to use a hammer, just tighten it with your wrench. Follow it, plug it back in, put it back in its place. Now, I think I know why there's oil in there. usually when you drain the oil from here, you get some oil here, and for whatever reasons it knows how to travel up. So anyway, I'm gonna put the cover back on here, lower the car, and we check out the figures. Okay, got the car running. Let's check this. Now we need to just let it warm up a little bit, so that sensor can get hot and see if it does anything. Okay, so I know that when I showed you earlier on, the temperature hadn't yet reached 84. At the moment it's at 84. When I was showing you this, it was on about 68 or 69. However, I already checked that at 90 degrees, and that wasn't changing from 400. So now I am getting a bit more of a fluctuation. This is a little bit more of what I am expecting the sensor to be doing. I expect it to fluctuate from lean to rich, lean to rich. So previously it was stuck on 415. And so there we are, and I haven't actually got any fault codes at the moment. So all that is left to do for me is to take the car for a little test drive and come back, make sure that there's no fault codes being generated. But I can already tell the figures here are different, so I'm happy with that, and I'm actually happy with the results. So having said that, I think if you are tackling a similar issue where you have a lean condition, it is very common on the W203, which has the engine, the W204 engine. There is a hose, it's called that goes to the PCV valve, basically the breather hose. The breather hose tends to become very weak, and a hole forms on the hose, and then that lets air in, and then you have this lean condition. But you also have a slight weird behavior with the revolutions. The revs sort of sit a bit low, so it's almost like the car wants to cut out. At the beginning of the problem, it's not as the symptoms are not as bad, but as the hole gets bigger and the hose is really weak and it sort of shuts with the vacuum, then they start getting more problems with it. This particular model, the W204, that has the same engine, it's got a different, it still has a breather hose, but it's slightly different and it's a bit harder. However, it does also rub against the filter box, the air filter box. It does rub against it, and when it does, you get it starts wearing out. So it's worth checking, but you have to remove the air filter housing. So, and the other option, it's the oxygen sensor. So if you get a fault with the oxygen sensor, maybe you need to get a machine like this one and try to read that and see what you get. And when you rev it and let it idle, it needs to fluctuate basically a little bit like that. So anyway, I've already showed you. And having said that, I hope the video helps. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, obviously just ask me and I'll try to answer as we go along.